संडे हो या मंडे, रोज खाओ अंडे।
Good evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points Friday night. This is your destination for the news that matters. The big story, Gyanvapi mosque. Has RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat drawn a red line? Asaduddin Owaisi, among others, will be joining us. Are the police also shielding Hyderabad rape suspects? That's going to be the big talking point on a story that's shocking the country. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. Home Minister Amit Shah chairs a high-level meeting to review security situation in the Kashmir Valley. After back-to-back targeted murders, India today accesses a full Pakistan dossier which plotted civilian killings in 2021. Massive outrage against the alleged rape of a minor in Hyderabad. Sources say sons of netas from TRS, AIMIM and Congress involved. The BJP stormed the Jubilee Hills police station in protest. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat's big message on Gyanvapi showdown says, why look for a shivling in every mosque? Advocates for resolution of dispute by mutual consent. The remarks spark a controversy over what next. Enforcement Directorate issues fresh summons to Congress leader Rahul Gandhi for June 13th in the National Herald case. This after the Congress leader had sought time to appear before the agency. No relief for Congress MP Karti Chidambaram in the bribe for visa case. Delhi court dismisses anticipatory bail plea of all the accused in the case. New CCTV video shows Moosewala murder suspects at a petrol pump just before the killing took place. Lawrence Bishnoi admits that one of his gang members killed the singer. Politics explodes over Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann meeting the victim's family. Communal clash breaks out in Kanpur over a BJP neta's polarizing remark. Gunshots fired, stones pelted. Police lathi charge a violent mob. India slams a US report that claimed that attacks on minority communities in India occurred throughout 2021. Asks US to focus on its own hate crime and gun control issues, not get carried away by vote bank politics. Russia-Ukraine war enters day 100. Putin digs in his heels. Zelensky says 20% of Ukraine is under the control of Russian forces. But tonight's top story. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat's remark yesterday on the Gyanvapi mosque has triggered now a debate that could affect the entire issue of places of worship. The RSS chief has said everyone should respect court's rulings on Gyanvapi and then went further on to say that people should stop digging for shivlings under every mosque. His comments come at a time when across the country there have been protests by Hindutva groups seeking to reclaim places of worship. Does the RSS chief's statement mark a change in stand of the RSS, or is it being misinterpreted? Is the RSS still determined to continue with agitating on places of worship? Has Mr. Bhagwat drawn a line in the sand? In a moment, I'll be joined by Asaduddin Owaisi for his response. But first, take a look at our top story.
प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए. हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है?
RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat wading into the Gyanvapi debate. The head of the Sangh Parivar has made his stand clear for the first time since fresh petitions were filed in the Varanasi court by Hindus seeking permission to pray at the mosque. Bhagwat said the Gyanvapi dispute involves issues of faith and the court's decision on it should be accepted by all.
आपस में मिल बैठकर सहमति से कोई रास्ता निकाले, लेकिन हर बार नहीं निकल सकता. इसमें कोर्ट में जाते हैं तो फिर कोर्ट जो निर्णय देगा उसको मानना चाहिए.
Even as petitions are being filed across the country to reclaim places of worship, including monuments like the Qutub Minar, Bhagwat sounded a note of caution.
ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे, ठीक है, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना?
He added that the RSS had already made it clear that its participation in the Ayodhya agitation was an exception. The BJP, which has largely stayed away from the controversy, has backed the RSS chief.
देखो, जो लोग अभी तक सुबह से शाम तक आरएसएस को, बीजेपी को, मोदी जी को पानी पी पी करके कोसते थे, ये उनके लिए आईना है.
Bhagwat's remarks on Gyanvapi were welcomed by the Shiv Sena, which also claims to be a Hindutva party.
मैं मोहन राव भागवत जी का जो बयान है उसका स्वागत करता हूँ. ये दर्दिन का झमेला बंद होना चाहिए, नहीं तो देश देश नहीं रहेगा.
While Bhagwat has disassociated the Sangh from the growing number of claims on mosques, will it reflect on the ground? Bureau Report, India Today.
So has Mohan Bhagwat drawn a red line when it comes to this agitation to reclaim places of worship? Importantly, will the rest of the Sangh Parivar adhere to Mohan Bhagwat's line? How is one to interpret Mohan Bhagwat's remarks? Have they been interpreted out of context? Do they suggest a change in stance? My first guest is in the studio. Shehzad Poonawala, the BJP spokesperson, joins us. Shehzad, let's be very clear. Mohan Bhagwat is saying, are we going to go around the country finding shivlings in every mosque? At the same time says, Gyanvapi mosque issue should be settled by consensus, by dialogue, through what the court says. Does this mean that no one in the BJP or in any of the Sangh Parivar outfits will now go around the country looking for places of worship where allegedly 200, 300, 500, 600 years ago there was a temple? Are we very clear that no more beyond what is already before the courts?
You know, Rajdeep, I would have liked it had this format not been first me and then Mr. Owaisi, and both of us could have engaged in a debate, because that's the essence of democracy and dialogue. But for whatever reasons,
I give an opportunity to both sides. Let's listen to you first.
I hope Mr. Owaisi, if he's still listening, comes on the panel and debates one-on-one rather than doing it suo moto alone. Nonetheless, let me just clarify. Look, the RSS always stands for Rashtra Nirman and Sanskritik Punar Nirman, and therefore the statements made by RSS chief are always in the attempt of nation building, of Rashtra Niti, not of Rajniti. He is aiming towards Samvad, not Vivad. He is aiming towards consensus, not confrontation, of removing a solution, not creating a problem. But in this country, the panelist who will join us next, he belongs to a mindset called All India Muslim ko incite karne wali majlis. And this Muslim ko incite karne wali majlis jo hai, I also call it the INC mindset. I need communalism mindset. They divided the country on Hindu-Muslim. They divide classrooms on Hindu-Muslim. They divide loudspeaker on Hindu-Muslim. They divide every opportunity. The court order has come on Gyanvapi. Look, people went to Supreme Court. They said they should be stayed under 1991 Act. The Supreme Court said, no, nothing doing. Let the matter go on. District judge will listen to it. Where is the point of communalism? In the loudspeaker matter, where Mr. Owaisi has a problem, court order has come. In matters of hijab, the Karnataka High Court has come out with an order. In Teen Talaq, court had come out with an order, but Mr. Owaisi will not follow it. In fact, when Mr. Owaisi comes, do ask him, Supreme Court convicted and sentenced Yaqub Memon to death. He said, I do not believe this because Mr. Yaqub Memon is a Muslim, he has been hanged. I have the India Today report.
No, one minute.
So,
Today you are again trying to go like the Shehzad Express. The last time you came, it went viral. Let me be very clear. 1 minute. You say Mohan Bhagwat is talking about nation building, nationalism. He's setting in a way the way forward on disputes like this. The problem is the Sangh Parivar speaks in a forked tongue. On May 22nd, Sunil Ambekar, the RSS's Akhil Bharatiya Prachar Pramukh, says historical facts cannot be hidden for long. While talking about the Gyanvapi dispute, I believe we should let facts come out in the open. In any case, truth has a way of coming out. How long can you hide it? It's time to put these facts in right perspective. So you've got Mohan Bhagwat who's saying we don't want to get involved in an Andolan. The Bajrang Dal will carry out an Andolan. The VHP will say Ayodhya to jhaki hai, Kashi Mathura baki hai. You'll have some other sundry Hindutva organization saying, I want to reclaim even Qutub Minar tomorrow. Let's be very clear. Who is speaking for the RSS? Is it the RSS chief or all these various sundry organizations that come under the RSS?
You know, a lot of patrakars, they always say that one stray person should not categorize the entire community or the entire group. If supposing somebody says Allahu Akbar and blasts himself, do we say all Muslims are terrorists? So therefore, if somebody says something, you tag him with the Sangh Parivar, what kind of logic is that? As far as Mr. Ambedkar, now I'll come to Mr. Ambedkar. I remember that statement. Mr. Ambedkar, did he say that if I don't get this particular place, I'm going to go and do a rally, Sar Tan Se Juda, Sar Tan Se Juda? People are going to courts. This is the community, Rajdeep, that has waited like Nandiji patiently for 350 years for their right to pray. This is the community that waited for 500 years for the right in Ayodhya. Where have they gone? In fact, the people who go on the streets and jam the streets in the name of CA. Shaheen Bagh was declared illegal by whom? By the Supreme Court of India. CA is also a law passed by Parliament. Does the next speaker who will come, because he wants to come only solo with you, will he acknowledge that the CA law is also
I am asking you, no, 1 minute. Vishwa Hindu Parishad says Ayodhya to Jaki hai, Kashi Mathura Baki hai. We've got Hindutva organizations protesting outside the Qutub Minar claiming there is a temple here.
How is that Sangh Parivar?
No, 1 minute.
No, how is that Sangh Parivar?
All of them in some way.
So
Is
every Hindu
VHP not associated with the Sangh Parivar? Is the Bajrang Dal not associated with the Sangh Parivar? Why should I trust Mohan Bhagwat when come tomorrow some other sundry group in some other part of the country will say this was originally a temple, I need to reclaim it?
Those who don't even trust the constitution which talks about UCC and Supreme Court which says Teen Talaq ka Kanun banna chahiye, how can they trust Mohan Bhagwat ji who speaks the language of constitution? So I don't expect Mr. Owaisi to ever believe Mr. Mohan Bhagwat. He might believe what some fatwa might come from Middle East. He might believe that. He's more inclined to that, and that is his prerogative. But I am only asking a couple of questions. One, is it wrong for me to acknowledge that yes, there were rulers like Aurangzeb who killed his own brother, who also destroyed mandirs? In fact, Salman Khurshid has written it in Sunrise Over Ayodhya that Aurangzeb, the cruel Akranta, broke a mandir. 1 second. Truth and reconciliation. You advocate truth and reconciliation in Africa, South Africa. Nelson Mandela ne truth and reconciliation kiya. Yahan par Ambedkar ji bole, to he is wrong.
My limited
point. 1 second. My limited point. Rajdeep, limited point. Mr. Owaisi's brother goes to Aurangzeb's kabar and does Fatiha. Has he ever gone to Dara Shikho? Has he ever gone to APJ Abdul Kalam? Has he ever said Lieutenant Umar Fayaz is my hero? Has he ever said that I like Mr. Ustad Bismillah Khan? Why is his hero and icon only Aurangzeb? And if I say that Aurangzeb broke the mandir and it is a documented fact of history, if I say that and I say I want truth and reconciliation, then you would say that we are trying to subvert law and justice?
Okay, we've heard one view and we'll see whether we have to come back to it later. But I want to go straight across to Asaduddin Owaisi. As I said, this is one-on-one with Mr. Owaisi. I appreciate your joining us, Mr. Owaisi. I want to understand how you interpret Mohan Bhagwat's remarks. Do you see it as a sign of conciliation, saying that let's sort out issues through dialogue, through the courts, and makes it very clear that we cannot go across the country trying to find shivlings under every mosque, thereby suggesting that we are not going to reopen other places of worship issue? Do you take him at face value, Mr. Owaisi?
The speech given by Mr. Mohan Bhagwat was an incendiary speech. And you must remember why I have formed that opinion that till the formation of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Ram Mandir was not an issue. For BJP, it became an issue in 1989. Now he talks about, quote, didn't the Sangh Parivar, the whole Ram Mandir movement, gave a commitment to the Supreme Court that they will not touch the Babri Masjid on 6th December 1992. So that is why I say that what Mr. Mohan Bhagwat says has no meaning whatsoever. And the most important point is that, is he trying to convey that the Muslims in India live because of his mercy? Aren't we the first citizens of this country? And to me, I want an assurance from the Prime Minister of the country. He's my Prime Minister. Let his government stand up and say that 1991 Act, we will implement it. Simple. Stop. End of the matter. And fifthly, who are these petitioners who have gone to the court? One of the petitioners, the husband, is the local Vishwa Hindu Parishad leader. And last point, Mathura, 50 years ago, Hindus and Muslims sat together, formed an agreement, went to court, it was accepted. After 54 years, you go to and say, no, we want the whole Eidgah. Who are those people? They have a connection with RSS.
No, how is Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's statement incendiary? When Mr. Mohan Bhagwat says, for example, that we do not wish to get involved in any such movement, we want this issue to be sorted through the courts or conciliation, how is that incendiary? Don't you see this as a step forward at a time when the debate is extremely polarizing?
Well, who has polarized this whole debate? Who has done it? Please tell me. Who has done it? Me? You go to court. The government stands up, all the ministers who have come on your program, the leaders of BJP have come up on your program. What is the language they have spoken? Is Mr. Mohan Bhagwat saying that forever Kashi, Mathura and those 50,000 masjids with the list of those masjids are available on our RSS leaders website? Nothing is going to happen. I want a commitment from the Prime Minister of this country, simple as that. Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's speech is incendiary because he always connects the Muslims to our ancestry to Hinduism. Should I say that Mohan Bhagwat's ancestors were forcibly converted from Buddhism? No, I will not say that. How can he say that Islam came to invade us? Is he proving the Prime Minister of the country a liar? Because the Prime Minister went to Saudi Arabia and gave a replica of the first masjid that came up in Kerala.
One minute. Mohan Bhagwat says a large number of Muslims who stayed back in India and did not opt to go to Pakistan are our fellow Indians. We have no opposition against any form of worship. We accept them all, consider all of them holy. They may have adopted that form of worship, but they are descendants of our rishis, munis, kshatriyas. We are descendants of the same ancestors.
Why do you say that? Why do you always connect my ancestry to Hinduism? And even if we are in a modern India, which has a living constitution, how dare you do that? I am an equal citizen of this country. That is why I say that you are trying to tell the nation that,
No, 1 minute. He's not denying. Where is he denying? Where is he suggesting in any way in these statements that you're not an equal citizen?
Because he says that they have a Hindu ancestry. Because he says that Islam came to invade us. And his whole message is projected in such a way. The messaging is that, Muslims live because of the mercy of RSS chief. No. I am an equal citizen of this country. And if you go back in time, let us go back to 65,000 years ago. Let us go back. India became India, the whole subcontinent, because of people came from Africa, Iran, East Asia, Central Asia. Mr. Mohan Bhagwat might call himself an Aryan, but the Aryans came 2,000 years ago. The original Indians are not even Owaisi, Rajdeep Sardesai or Mohan Bhagwat. It is the Adivasi and Dravidians, if that be the case.
Mr. Owaisi, Mohan Bhagwat says we had special devotion towards some places. We spoke about them, but we shouldn't bring out a new matter daily. Why should we escalate the dispute? We have devotion towards Gyanvapi, and doing something on that front is all right. But why look for a shivling in every masjid? He's effectively saying, let's forget all the other cases. Let's perhaps sit across the table and settle the matter amicably. Are you ready to sit across the table with Mohan Bhagwat? Or do you teach him as untouchable?
What do you want me to do? Sit with him for what?
And resolve these contentious issues. Resolve all contentious issues.
There is nothing to be resolved. Everything has been resolved when the Parliament had passed that 1991 Act. Everything has been resolved when the Supreme Court has upheld that Act and elevated to the level of the basic set of the Constitution. Simple as that. That is why I'm saying I do not want all these false assurances from Mr. Mohan Bhagwat and all his company. I want my Prime Minister to say that his government will stand by the 1991 Act. Period. Simple. End of the matter.
Can I therefore ask you, if the Prime Minister of the country therefore repeated what Mohan Bhagwat said, would you take that at face value and seriously? Would you then say that yes, if Prime Minister Modi is saying this, I believe that the RSS, the BJP are acting within the realms of the Constitution? Will you accept that?
If the Prime Minister tomorrow addresses the nation in his Mann Ki Baat and says that his government will stand by the 1991 Act, you will see within 24 hours all these jokers, these Johnnies who are jack in the box, they will keep quiet. But it is convenient for the Prime Minister to keep quiet. And please remember, the US State Department has issued a report on 3rd of June. Why is the Prime Minister succumbing to the pressure of US? If the Prime Minister had spoken and said 91 Act is supreme, end of the matter. Because the US has now put our great nation in a countries of concern.
India has responded to the US saying they have no business to interfere in our internal matters. They should worry about their own politics, the hate crimes, the gun control that takes place there.
Yes, of course, I've read the statement. But what did Mr. Mohan Bhagwat say in his yesterday's speech? He said that in Ukraine, the Western powers are sending weapons. So today the government says vote bank politics. So that is why I say that I want a commitment from the Prime Minister of the country that his government will stand by 1991 Act. And Rajdeep, please remember, have not your channel, whether it is Aaj Tak, whether it is UP Tak, whether it is Headlines Today, whether it is the great Sri Rajdeep Sardesai, what have you shown on the program? I have been shouting it's a fountain, but other side said no. Now Mr. Mohan Bhagwat says, oh, don't do it. If Mr. Mohan
Bhagwat has not said that it is not a shivling there. He is saying, why should we be going into every mosque finding out whether there is a shivling there or not? At the same time, he says the Gyanvapi mosque issue should be determined through courts or conciliation. Are you willing for that or not? Or are you sticking to your line that Places of Worship Act prevents any change in status quo, period?
Exactly, I agree with you. That is what my stand is. That is what my stance would be. That 1991 Act is now part of basic structure of the Constitution. That is it. Simple as that. Rajdeep, please allow me half a minute. You say that let us sit and talk. A poor Jain community old man was beaten on the suspicion of being a Muslim. What should I talk? You demolished 22 houses in Khargon, 13 houses in Sendwa without giving notice. All of them are Muslims. You demolish his warehouse in Khambat in Gujarat. You want to erase every cultural issue that contradicts with your ideology.
How will you respond to those today who will say, every time we listen to you, Mr. Owaisi, you sound like someone who is engaging in fear-mongering. You're unwilling for any kind of conciliation with the RSS or those who are seen to represent another viewpoint.
Didn't the Muslims have a reconciliation with the Hindus 53 years ago in Mathura? An agreement was signed. An agreement was submitted to the court that was upheld. That court accepted that agreement. Muslims had given the land of Eidgah on which a magnificent Krishna Janmasthan Mandir is existing now. We have passed an act in Parliament. Didn't the Parliament assure the Muslims that after Babri Masjid nothing will be touched? Didn't the Supreme Court told the nation that historical wrongs should not be corrected through oppression, or you should not take laws in your hands? Wasn't that enough for the country's Supreme Court assurance? Wasn't that enough for all these people? What the Parliament has passed the act? Simple as that.
I ask you therefore one final time, do you see hope in what Mr. Bhagwat has said? Do you see possibly at least a small step forward, that this is possibly at least a softening of stand, yes or no?
I'm reminded of an Urdu sher, सितमगर तुझसे उम्मीद वफा होगी जीने होगी हमें तो देखना यह है कि तू जालिम कहां तक है. And for all those Johnnies who are saying, oh, let us sit down and talk, इब्तिदा इश्क है, देखिए आगे होता है क्या.
Let me leave it there, Mr. Owaisi. I appreciate your joining us here on the news today. Okay, we've heard Asaduddin Owaisi. Let me now get back to Shehzad Poonawalla. I think what it is coming is the trust deficit. Owaisi says the Prime Minister has been silent right through all this entire Gyanvapi mosque issue. He has a Man Ki Baat every month. Nothing is mentioned on all these contentious issues. It's left to the foot soldiers at times to ratchet up the temperature, or it is left to Mohan Bhagwat to appear as a statesman. How do you respond?
First of all, being a barrister and a lawyer, one should be able to debate with your opponent on the debate rather than come and
You made that point earlier.
Yeah. But having said that, Prime Minister ने तो CA पे भी कमिटमेंट दिया था कि एक भी भारतीय मुसलमान की नागरिकता नहीं छीनेगी. इन्होंने तो उसी पार्लियामेंट के कानून को, जिस पे बाय द वे इट हैज नॉट गॉन टू कोर्ट फॉर स्टे, he tore it up and he said मैं CA का कानून नहीं मानता.
Because he says it's against the constitution. He says the CA is against the constitution.
Who determined that?
The courts will determine that.
Has it been determined as unconstitutional? Is Asaduddin Owaisi the court of law? And has Places of Worship Act not been challenged in a court of law? By 1991 Act is challenged in a court. Ruling on that, the Supreme Court sent the matter of Gyanvapi to the district judge.
No, why don't you amend it? It's your government. No, 1 minute. Shehzad Punawala, you are a majority government. Go and amend the Place of Worship Act.
Rajdeep, you studied law, although
yes,
you
I
practice. Yeah. A matter which is sub judice, can it be amended in Parliament?
There is nothing.
There is nothing that allows the Parliament to discuss any matter which is in a court of law.
There is nothing that stops the Indian part. There is nothing that stops the. If you believe so strongly that the Places of Worship Act is unconstitutional, what stops the BJP from amending it?
Okay, let me clarify this once again. The matter which is in court of law, as per the legislative separation of powers, legislature, judiciary and executive, we can't amend or make a law on a matter which is in court. Even the barrister knows that, but the good barrister knows that there's no stay on CAA, there's no unconstitutionality declared on CAA. The Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, came and said that CAA se ek Musalman ki nagrikta nahi chinegi, and till date nothing has happened. But he does not believe the Prime Minister's commitment on that. Why? He does not believe the Prime Minister's commitment that 13 crore toilet bane hain, usme Mohammed ko bhi mila aur Mohit ko bhi mila. He does not believe the Prime Minister's commitment that 9 crore Ujjwala Yojana ki cylinder di gayi hai, Shilpa ko bhi mila, Sultana ko bhi mila. And one more thing. Today, Barrister Owaisi quotes America. The same America has said that war on terror is against the pan-Islamic terror in this world. Does he agree with that statement of America? The same America and FBI has said that madrasas have taught the ideology of terrorism in those madrasas in Pakistan. Does he acknowledge that madrasas can have the seed of terrorism in that? Today he's quoting America as if it is Quran. My God, Mr. Owaisi. And lastly, why should I trust Mr. Owaisi? The question should be, why should I trust a man who says that Yaqub Memon has got saza because he's a Muslim? Does he believe in the courts? He's coming and lecturing us. He believes in AIMPLB, which says 3 talaq ka faisla hum nahi manenge. Muslim women don't have the authority to make their own rights. And he comes and lectures us.
Shehzad Punawala, therefore, in conclusion, let me ask you, am I to understand that Mohan Bhagwat has set a red line in the future if the VHP starts agitating on Mathura, on other places of worship? Will you come on this show and say, look, VHP is wrong, Mohan Bhagwat has said, no agitation required? Or will you say every organization of this hydra-headed monster, as some call it, the Sangh Parivar, every organization within it has its right to pursue its own agenda?
There is only one red line, and that red line was set by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, the red line of the Constitution. Mr. Mohan Bhagwat ji has reiterated it, and if anybody, whether it is Sar Tan Se Juda lobby or whether it is any other lobby, violates the Constitution, the law will act.
Okay, that's fair enough. 6 December 1992, remember, the demolition was described by the Supreme Court as a criminal act.
10 seconds. It was the Narasimha Rao government and Mr. Owaisi who comes here and says dar ka mahol hai, allied with the Congress party from 2004 to 14. And by the way, before 1990, there was Jalgaon, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Bhiwandi, all these riots where 10,000 Muslims were slaughtered. Mr. Owaisi ki iman jo hai abhi wo shairi kar rahe the, ek bhi baar nahi hua ki 2004 se 14 ke beech aise dangaiyon ke saath na baithe.
Let me be fair to him, he has also been very critical of the way the Congress has also
after enjoying 10 years of power.
He was not in power with the UPA
2004 to 14.
He supported it for 5 of those years from the outside.
Why?
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Why did he support?
I hope that in the future...
This is why it should be a 2-on-2 debate, not a one solo act by Mr. Owaisi.
We will hope to see it being done at some stage. At least Mr. Owaisi comes. There are BJP leaders who don't even have press conferences.
He comes, he wanted to debate only with an MP. He thought I'm too small for him.
Okay, let's leave that for another day. I appreciate your joining us, giving us your perspective. As I said, we aim to give both sides of the story and listen to both sides. That's what we do. We are aimed here to listen. Let's turn though to the story which is our ground report and is building up every day. 8 people killed in less than a month in the Kashmir Valley. Fearing for their safety now, some Kashmiri Pandit employees have actually begun packing their bags and have left the valley and to move to Jammu. Panic has gripped the valley with these targeted killings. And the question is, can the government stop the exodus as it was in the 1990s? Take a look.
A sense of deja vu of the 1990s exodus, fear has gripped minorities in the Kashmir Valley. With a series of attacks on Hindu minorities in the last 1 month, these families are scared that they could be next.
Administration should take some step, but the administration has totally failed.
You feel the government is...
Government has totally failed in protecting the Hindus. I mean, Home Minister is doing the promotion of a film now these days. He is not even he has called a meeting today. Let us see what he decides and what steps he takes.
Kashmiri Pandits who work as government employees are now packing their bags. They're all set to boycott the Kheer Bhavani festival, the biggest festival for Kashmiri Pandits, where they celebrate harmony and togetherness, a theme that rings hollow amidst these targeted killings.
Today early in the morning we reached in this Sheikhpura migrant camp, which houses almost 230 Kashmiri Pandit families and is in fact one of the biggest migrant, or we can say transit camp for the Kashmiri Pandit government employees. In Kashmiri Pandit, you reside here since 2010. What compelled to these all families to migrate from here?
The migration has been started. 5-6 families already migrated from this colony. Now more are starting. We are ready to move from here.
Along the Jammu-Srinagar highway, families were seen taking all their belongings and fleeing, not sure when they will return again.
राहुल भट्ट की हत्या के बाद आतंकवादियों ने और भी जो है टारगेटेड किलिंग्स की। आप देखिए मासूम बच्चे रो रहे हैं, बिलक रहे हैं। अभी क्या माहौल है कश्मीर में?
माहौल तो बहुत टेंस है, इसलिए भाग के आना पड़ रहा है।
तो अभी आप दोबारा जाएंगे?
बिल्कुल, हमारे से तो अब हिम्मत नहीं है कि हम वहाँ पे रहेंगे।
2 दिन से हमने बिल्कुल कुछ खाया नहीं है, कुछ नहीं, कैसे हम खौफ में रहे हैं। वहाँ पे कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं थी और अब फाइनली हम यहाँ पे पहुँचे। अब हमें थोड़ा सा लग रहा है कि नहीं, हम सेफ जोन में आ गए।
थोड़ा सुकून है?
बिल्कुल है सर।
Kashmiri Pandits feel betrayed by the administration and by their friends in the valley, saying those who belong to the majority community are silent on the killings.
चाहे राजस्थान का होगा हिंदू, चाहे बिहार का हिंदू होगा, चाहे यूपी का हिंदू होगा, चाहे कश्मीरी पंडित होगा, मरता है कश्मीरी पंडित ही और हिंदू ही। गवर्नमेंट की कोई पॉलिसी ही नहीं है कश्मीरी पंडित के हक में।
मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि इसमें कश्मीरी पंडित ही थे, मुसलमान भी मारे गए, सरदार भी मारे गए, लेकिन ऐसा लग रहा है कि कोई सरकार इस चीज़ की तरफ कोई तवज्जो नहीं दे रही है।
The spate of killings of civilians, from Rahul Bhatt to Amreen Bhatt to Rajni Bala to Vijay Kumar. When will the killings end is the rallying cry in the communities here. And with these communities continuously under attack, the pressure is building and the anger will not be subsiding.
Home Minister Amit Shah, they are saying that he's busy with other activities and he has no time to listen to the grievances of the minuscule minority of Kashmir, that is Kashmiri Pandits. With video journalist Neeraj Kumar, this is Sunil Bhatt reporting from Jagti in Jammu for India Today.
Remember, the Home Minister held a high-level meeting, but we still don't know what concrete steps will be taken to stop the fear factor in the valley. Let's turn from there to our other big story tonight. Shock and horror over the alleged rape of a minor in Hyderabad, because all accused apparently are sons of VIP netas belonging to different parties. An FIR has been filed, but it doesn't name the accused. The 17-year-old girl was allegedly gang-raped in a Mercedes in the heart of the city. The big question now, is there a cover-up once again to shield netas and their VVIP sons? It's our other big story tonight.
A 17-year-old allegedly gang-raped. Sons of VIPs under scanner for the gruesome crime. Reports that a minor was molested and gang-raped after a party at a pub on Saturday has left Hyderabad jolted and shocked. Police are probing the role of sons of influential political leaders in the crime after the girl complained. An MLA's son is among 5 accused in the case, and all are reported to be minors.
What MLA family say that he was not driving the car, he was there in that car, but he got down after leaving the pub. He got down midway and there he sat for 1 hour. That's what MLA family is clarifying. That's the clarification coming from MLA side.
A case was first filed under POCSO Act against the accused minors. Later, rape charges were added. A senior police official told India Today TV that the girl had gone to the pub with some of the accused. Later, she was sexually assaulted in a Mercedes car, but was only able to identify one of the accused. The BJP has said that KCR government is trying to hush up the case because sons of VIPs are involved. The Congress too joined in, hitting out at the government.
When you have all the circumstantial evidence, CCTV footage, what is that which is stopping you from arresting these culprits?
It's clear-cut negligence of Telangana police and the intentional delay in the proceedings of the case, whereas big fishes are involved in this case.
The incident has shamed Hyderabad.
Rape is a rape. We can all sanitize it or, make it as glorious as possible by adding all sorts of suffixes, prefixes, juvenile rape, gang rape, marital rape. But no, rape is a rape and it's no less than a murder because you're killing the soul of the victim. And after that, the person is simply walking dead.
India Today has accessed FIR and it does not name a single accused. The case has been made out against unknown persons. In fact, police have seized the Mercedes car but have made no move to catch the culprits who were in it. India Today has even accessed the CCTV footage from outside the pub on the day of the incident. Strangely, police are yet to verify if the accused and the victim are seen together in the video.
The incident took place on Saturday. FIR was first registered on Wednesday. Today is Friday, and till this moment, there is no arrest. Opposition is definitely asking serious questions. Media is also asking serious questions because all believe that because of the involvement of high-profile family, police is going slow in this entire horrific gang rape case. With camera person Damodar, Ashish in Hyderabad for India Today.
So the Hyderabad police shielding an MLA's son. Why are the suspects not named in the FIR? Why has it taken almost a week first for the FIR to be filed and still no arrests in the case where everyone seems to know who the accused are, barring the police of Hyderabad? Joining me now, Divya Reddy Sala, social activist who's been raging about this on the show, and Koli Madhavi is Telangana BJP State Secretary. To you, Ms. Madhavi, I just have a statement that has come from the Telangana leader, Minister K.T. Ramarao, son of the Chief Minister and Senior Minister, outraged and shocked with the news of the rape of a minor in Hyderabad, request Home Minister and Commissioner of Police to take immediate and stern action. Please don't spare anyone involved, irrespective of their status or affiliations. You don't believe Mr. KTR? You don't believe him when he says this?
Rajdeep, I think the first point that we have to note is, now KTR says that the Home Minister should take action on it. But point number one, what the minister forgets conveniently is the Home Minister's grandson itself is involved in this. This is what the minister conveniently forgets and tries to actually divert.
No, one minute. You're telling me that the Home Minister's grandson is involved in it? The FIR does not name anyone.
No, the FIR conveniently just names only the car, Rajdeep. It doesn't name anyone. It in fact gives only the car's number, says that it's a Benz car with a registration, I think TS09FL6460, which is registered on the MIM MLA sister's name. This car is registered on the MIM MLA sister's name. And conveniently, KTR actually diverts the topic, saying that the minister should take action on it. Point number one, Rajdeep, what I want to ask the Honorable Minister, especially the DGP of Telangana, is, now this occurred on 28th of May, and the FIR was filed on 31st. What is the police department doing till 31st May? This is my first straight question to DGP, or could it be KTR or anybody else? Why the slaps in filing the FIR? Now, one side they say this is a minor that has been raped. Yes, I understand it is a minor girl, and it is very unfortunate that such kind of incidents are occurring very frequently in Telangana. And KTR, nor KCR, nor anyone is bothered, nor is the Child and Welfare Minister.
So you believe this is lip service? You believe KTR's statement is pure lip service? You are questioning why it's taken so many days for an arrest to be made. Before I come to you, Divya Reddy Sala, the Police Commissioner of Hyderabad is holding a press conference. Let's just dip in for a moment and see whether he is answering any of those questions being raised.
పాపాకి ఈ ఒక యాక్ట్ చేసినది ఎవరెవరు వాళ్ళ ఐడెంటిటీ ఏంటి, వాళ్ళ పేర్లు ఏంటి, వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడ వారు అన్నది పాప చెప్పలేకపోయింది. ఎందుకంటే ఆ దుర్మార్గులు, నిందితులు ఆ పాపాని నేమ్స్ ఏమి రివీల్ చేయకుండా.
We'll go back to it in a moment, but Divya Reddy Sala, the police claims that they are acting with urgency, that this is a case involving minors. That's one of the reasons why names have not been disclosed, but no one will be spared. Do you believe that the police in Hyderabad, in an investigation involving VVIP sons, will actually arrest the culprits?
Mr. Rajdeep, thank you so much for this question. And I don't know if a lot of people remember this. There was another case of a high-profile drug busting that has happened in a very, very high-profile pub in Telangana. And fairly, we've never heard about that case after which, and all of them were arrested, and next day morning, everybody was released, and no clarity was given on that case. And we still don't know what exactly has happened, because it was told, and it was in fact shown on so many national TV channels, that the drugs were caught. And then very conveniently off late, we don't even see, police checking any of these drunken driving. So I'm very, I don't know, it's not a reckless statement, but I find it very scary to believe that everybody is doing their job right. And if that was the case, we had Disha's case, the Dr. Disha, who was also a rape case, and it was very brutal, and there were so many red flags raised. But what is the prevention? I would want to talk and ask, what is the prevention? Because we still are women alive and walking around, this city which was.
No, you feel unsafe. No, Divya, I want you to be. Divya, what has happened is terrible. It's shocking. It's outrageous. But do you really feel unsafe in a city like Hyderabad? I thought most women would tell me that they feel safe in Hyderabad.
Absolutely, that was the case. That I am a Hyderabadi and I'm a very proud Telanganite, and I will still continue to say that instance like this, if you're not coming out in public and telling us what is happening with the case, how are you sorting it out? I mean, just a mere statement of an encounter is not going to make us feel safe, because these are happening continuously. And what are the stringent laws and the execution of these laws, right? Are we, I genuinely feel that such criminals need to be chemically castrated, or a death penalty needs to be happening. And because, Rajdeep,
A few months ago, you say they should be castrated. That's one part of it. You know that there was an encounter that took place of a rapist, which has now gone to the Supreme Court, which has come out with based on a commission report, that this was a fake staged encounter. Is that what you want?
See, that is what the problem is, right? Because we citizens are never told what the truth is, and we demand the truth. Because if that was true, then why do we continue to have these kind of cases? In fact, I feel there must be such stringent laws, and these criminals cannot be encouraged by the loopholes in the system. Don't we all agree that because of these
loopholes? So you're saying there is no deterrent. You're saying there is no deterrent. That's why people get away with it. But look at this case. And this is where I want to come to you, ma'am, as a politician. Y'all are claiming children of leading politicians in Telangana who are allegedly involved. You're going and protesting outside the jail. Do you believe, outside the police station, do you believe that the police itself is under pressure to somehow or the other cover up here? Are you blaming the police? Or are you saying that the Home Minister should be, in a way, held responsible, because you're accusing on this program the Home Minister's grandson of being involved?
Rajdeep, I'll try to bring two things in this case especially. Point number one, we are talking about pub, okay? From where this girl has been taken, and where they say that even all those culprits who are actually involved in this are also from that same pub. Now, when they call this girl, when she is a minor, how can a minor enter a pub? Point number one. This shows that the pubs, etc., are not checked. I mean, anyone can go inside the pub. Any minor can enter into a pub. Is this what Telangana police are trying to tell? Telangana Excise Department is trying to tell us?
By the way, ma'am, the Telangana police have just said that they have identified all the 5 accused. And their FIR is based on the minor girl's statement. They've identified all the 5 accused.
So finally, after 4 days, when the DGP and the Telangana police boast about CC cameras, the highest number of CC cameras they have in India, the best policing department that they have in India. So finally, after 5 days, they come up and say that now they have identified 5 people, but in the FIR, you see that it is only the car number that is there in the FIR. And now what does the POCSO law say, Rajdeep? And when should the case be filed? When should the FIR be filed? Within hours, right? Now, why have these people taken 2 days of time to just file an FIR? This is what my straight question to the DGP of Telangana is. So this is point number one. Point number two. See, when minors can just enter into a pub, anytime, anywhere, any pub, they can just enter into it. Now, just tell me what is happening in Telangana. So in Telangana, it is not excise department, is not excise and prohibition. It is excise and promotion that is happening in Telangana. The state government, I am telling you on record, on your channel, I'm telling you, usually Telangana has brand ambassadors for different kind of things. We have brand ambassadors for handlooms, we have brand ambassadors for sports. I say we have brand ambassadors, the CM itself for liquor. I am ashamed to say this, that the CM is promoting liquor here in Telangana, and I'm ashamed to say that.
No, are you again? No, what's wrong with the pub culture? No, let's be very clear. Now, let's not blame the pub culture for this. Let's not blame the pub culture. Let's certainly look into the question that you've raised. Why are minors being allowed into pubs? That's a fair point. Why were minors allowed into the pub in the first place in the afternoon is a fair point. But it's not because of the pub culture, but it's because people are taking advantage possibly of the laxity in the legal system. And this is not just Hyderabad, we see it across our metros.
Don't you think it is the government's responsibility to see that the minors are not permitted into the pub?
That's the police's responsibility. Absolutely. It's the police and the pub. Ma'am, that's the police and the pub owner's responsibility.
Rajdeep, let me just complete this point. Recently also, just as my co-panelist has just told you that, recently a pub has been raided and they found drugs also. Now, what happened to that case? You don't find a logical ending to all these cases because all the VIPs, the politicians' sons, etc. are involved in it. Now, when it comes to this case, I'm telling you, this is a bachelor's party that is being held because of the Home Minister's grandson is getting married on June 17th. Now, into this, the people who were led to enter into the pub were decided by the PA of the Home Minister himself, Mr. Hari. He was the one who let people enter into the pub. Now, tell me, on what basis is this happening? Don't you think the government and the excise department are responsible for this to happen here? They have to answer this, right? When minor children are into the influence of liquor, drugs and all this, whom do you blame? You don't find prohibition here in Telangana. You don't find the prohibition department working at all. It's just promotion that is working, Rajdeep.
Okay, so you're saying that there is promotion of liquor which you blame as part of the problem. Divya, let me give you a final word. At the end of the day, if these 5 people are arrested, will that give you a sense that the government is acting irrespective of any pressure? Will that give you some hope that maybe this will set an example? And by the way, the police has just said the Telangana Home Minister's grandson not involved, ma'am. I just want to say on record they have said he's not involved. So you have gone on this program. No, you've gone on this program and blamed him. So I must be very clear.
28th this occurred and 31st the FIR is filed. That is why
they are denying that he's among the 5.
All these politicians involved are let scot-free. They're facing the immunity of the police free.
Okay, very quickly, Divya, a final word from you.
Mr. Sardesai, I just want to not add any political color to this topic because it is about a civilian. It is about us as civilians together, right? So I would like to just conclude by saying that unfortunately or fortunately, Telangana is becoming Urta Telangana, like I've already quoted earlier. It was once upon a time the cleanest city, but now I don't think I will be so confident to confirm that part. And we've only heard about Urta Punjab, but now Telangana has become a hub for drugs and alcohol and all the crimes related to this.
Okay, Urta Telangana. Clearly, at the moment, the police of Hyderabad has much to answer for. If a gang rape... Okay, Dupta, Urta, 28th of May, the alleged gang rape takes place in the heart of a city. We are today on the 3rd of June. And the police only now convenes a press conference after public and political pressure and now claims that the 5 people have been identified. All of this took place, remember, in the heart of the city. And it is alleged that some of those accused are linked to netas. It's a story we'll keep tracking because it's a story that represents the darker side of metropolitan India. Thank you both very much for joining me. Time for a break. On the other side, we'll have our good news story and our Get Real India story. That's coming up in a moment from now. We'll tell you more.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171. India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% pure prime time. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.
You are watching India Today.
Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story, where I bring you two stories in one. One is from Uttar Pradesh's Hapur, where Shivangi Goel has secured 177th rank in the UPSC exam. She overcame dowry harassment to script glory. The other story is from Rajasthan, where three sisters allegedly killed themselves after facing domestic abuse. Take a look at tonight's Get Real India story, the two faces of real India.
Meet Shivangi Goel from Uttar Pradesh's Hapur. This mother of 7-year-old has secured 177th rank in UPSC exams. Shivangi has brought laurels not only to her family but to the entire district. But the road to success was filled with challenges and obstacles. Shivangi had faced domestic violence and was harassed by her in-laws for dowry.
कोई भी लड़की कहीं पे भी अगर परेशान है तो मैं उसके लिए अगर एग्जाम्पल सेट कर पाऊँ कि नहीं, दिस इज नॉट द एंड, प्लीज डू नॉट स्टे इन सच टॉक्सिक रिलेशंस, तो प्लीज आप बाहर आइए.
But not everyone is brave or lucky enough to survive the dowry system. While India celebrates Shivangi's success, a grim reminder comes from Rajasthan. 3 sisters married to men of the same family allegedly killed themselves after facing domestic abuse. The bodies were found in a well in Jaipur on Saturday. Mamta and Kamlesh were pregnant, while Kalu had given birth barely a month back. A day before the incident, Mamta had written in her WhatsApp status, "It is better to die once than to die every single day." Kamlesh blamed her in-laws for the decision to end their lives. According to studies, India sees 20 deaths every day as a result of harassment over dowry. India needs many more Shivangi Goyals. Bureau Report, India Today.
Two faces, in a way, of this country. Let's turn to our good news today story, and it comes from a story we did last week which suggests that sometimes good ground-level journalism does bring change. A couple of weeks back, in fact last week, India Today reported on this show on a water emergency in Madhya Pradesh's Chanderi district. Now the Madhya Pradesh government has gone and dug up a bore well for the people of the village we reported from. The real solution will come from the government's promise of providing tap water to every household. Ravishpal Singh brings you this impactful report.
No water from hand pumps. No water from wells. The old Chanderi village in Madhya Pradesh's Sehor district ran out of water weeks ago, forcing villagers to dig up the riverbed of the dried up Triveni to find water. India Today reported the plight of Chanderi, bringing it to the attention of the Shivraj Singh Chauhan government. A couple of days later, the village is all smiles.
We have shown you how the people of this Chanderi village, old Chanderi village, were forced to drink water by digging a pit in a dry river, and the report was aired on India Today on 24th May, and within a week, now you can see the government has dug a borewell in this village.
Villagers are overjoyed. Now they can forget the daily trek for water.
जब इंडिया टुडे की खबर प्रसारित हुई, मध्य प्रदेश सरकार जागी, माननीय मुख्यमंत्री शिवराज सिंह चौहान को पता चला, वैसे उन्हें जिला प्रशासन को राज्य सरकार ने निर्देश दिया, और आपकी खबर की देन है कि आज देखिए बोर लग गया है। आपकी इंडिया टुडे को धन्यवाद देता हूं, मैं पूरे गांव की जनता, पूरा देश इंडिया टुडे का धन्यवाद है।
दिक्कत पानी की थी, बहुत दूर से लाता था जीरी से, छोर गिर जाता था, रोटी नहीं होती थी तब फोल परेशान था सब। अब सुविधा हो गई, हमारे बोर लग गए यहाँ, बहुत अच्छा धन्यवाद।
Villagers say that their trouble started after a small dam on Triveni River burst in 2018. They have one more appeal to the government.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का से भी अनुरोध करूंगा, मैं उनका भी धन्यवाद दूं माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का, और उनसे विनती करूंगा कि तकीपुर डैम को भी बनवा दिया जाए, जिससे कि मेरा एक चंदेरी गांव नहीं, यहाँ के दर्जनों गांवों का प्यास बुझेगी, यहाँ की फसलें जीव जंतु पलेंगे।
The borewell in Chanderi is a stopgap. The real solution would be providing tap water to every household. The central government's ambitious Nal Se Jal Yojana aims to do that. Villagers hope they too will benefit from the scheme soon. With Ravishpal Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
So it's good to see some small incremental change taking place all the time. That's it on the show tonight. Just want to leave you with the news that Rafael Nadal has got into another French Open final because his rival Alexander Zverev has sprained an ankle and given him a walkover in what was becoming an intriguing semi-final there. There is only Rafael Nadal, not that Rafael, but the tennis player Rafael. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe, have a great weekend. The roundtable on Ukraine is up next with Gaurav Sawant. For now, good night, Shubhratri, Namaskar.
Hello and welcome to our special Big in Your Life News, your weekly special for the best of big news. In this weekly roundup, we bring to you some of the top news that's made headlines last week. First up, India started the groundwork for 5G spectrum auction slated to take place this year, as per the plans announced by the Secretary of the Telecommunications Department and Chairman of the Digital Communications Commission, K. Rajaraman. The plan is to roll out 5G mobile services within 2022-23 by telecom providers. It's expected that the 5G will contribute $450 billion to the Indian economy. In another big news this week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced the release of 21,000 crore rupees to more than 10 crore beneficiary farmers. The announcement was made as the Prime Minister arrived in Shimla to participate in the Garib Kalyan Sammelan. This falls under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme. And good news for Indian hockey fans, as the Indian women's hockey team has climbed to the 6th position in the FIH World Hockey Rankings, making it their best ever ranking till date. With 2,029.396 points, the Indian women's hockey team is now placed above Spain in the world rankings. So that's it from this week's special of Big in Your Life News. See you next week.
Is Russian President Putin's life under a time clock? Well, according to Russian intelligence, Putin has only 2 to 3 more years to live. He is suffering from a severe form of rapid cancer. The Federal Security Service also said Putin is